Hi, this is Edusha, and in this video, I'll be walking you through the brachial plexus. The brachial plexus is a network of nerves that supply to the upper limb. And in this video, I'll be giving you a tip that will help you draw the brachial plexus with ease. Also, I'm talking about the function of each of the branches of the brachial plexus. So let's start. The simple tip that will help you get the brachial plexus is known as the 555 keys. All you need to know is that the brachial plexus has 5 components, 5 roots, and 5 main branches. With this foundational knowledge, you could draw your brachial plexus. Now, what are the components of the brachial plexus? The components include the roots, the trunks, the divisions, the cords, and the branches. Again, the roots, the trunk, the divisions, the cords, and the branches. It's important for you to know that the root and the trunk is found at the neck region. The division is found behind the clavicle, and the cords and branches is found at the axillary region. Moving to the roots, just as the tip here says, you should know that we have 5 main roots. The brachial plexus is originating from 5 roots. So, and what are these roots? The root is from the anterior rami of C5, C6, C7, C8, and C1. The brachial plexus originates from this, the anterior rami of C5 to C8 and C1. Now let's go to the drawing of the brachial plexus. With our foundational knowledge, I said that you should put it in mind that we have how many roots? We have 5 roots. And what are these roots? We have it as our C5, C6, C7, C8, and C1. Your C5 and C6 combines together to form the superior trunk. C7 continues to form the middle trunk, while the C8 and the T1 also combines together to form the inferior trunk. Don't forget the tip. Remember, you have to have 5 roots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So these are our roots. Over here we have our trunk, which I will denote with just T. So, and you know that we have 3 trunks, which is the superior trunk, the middle trunk, and we have the inferior trunk. Next, with the component given earlier, after the roots we have the trunk, then thereafter after the trunk we have the what? The division. So it is important for you to know that each of these trunk divides into 2 divisions. So the superior trunk will split into 2 divisions, which is the anterior and posterior division. The middle trunk also will split into 2 divisions, the anterior and posterior division. Similarly, the inferior trunk will also split into 2 divisions, the anterior and the posterior division. Now watch how division is being drawn.
Each trunk
Over
divides
here,
into anterior
we
and
have
posterior
the
divisions.
anterior and the posterior division this way. Over here, we have the middle trunk forming the posterior, and the anterior division this way, and over here we have the inferior trunk forming the posterior and the anterior division this way. It is mandatory that you take note of how the anterior and the posterior division is being drawn. For the superior trunk, we have the anterior trunk moving straightward, then the posterior is coming inward this way. For the middle trunk, it is not the same way. The posterior trunk continues further, while the anterior branches upward. Then for the last one, which is the inferior trunk, we have the posterior division coming up and the anterior division moving this way. So you can see that we have what each of it forming two divisions. This is the anterior, this is the posterior, this is the posterior, this is the anterior, this is the posterior, and this is the anterior. The PST signifies posterior, ANT anterior. So thereafter, after the division, the next component of the brachial plexus is the cord. So you need to know that the anterior cord of the middle trunk combines with the anterior trunk. The anterior division of the middle trunk combines with the anterior division of the superior trunk to form the lateral cord. All the posterior division combines together this way to form the posterior cord. Then you have the anterior division of the inferior trunk, which continues to form the medial cord. So let's name the cord. We have the lateral, the posterior cord, and then we have the medial cord. So let's quickly make a review before talking about the branches. So we have 5 main roots, which is our basic structure in the tips given earlier, and we're working based on that tips that we have 5 main roots, which is the C5, C6, C7, C8, and C1. The C5 and C6 combines together to form the superior trunk. The C7 continues to form the middle trunk. The C8 and T1 combines together to form the inferior trunk. Each of these trunks split into what? 2 divisions, which is the anterior and the posterior division. You can see the way it is being drawn here. And note that all the posterior division combines together to form what? The posterior cord. So the anterior division of the superior trunk and the anterior division of the middle trunk combines together to form the lateral cord, whereas the anterior division of this inferior trunk continues to form the medial cord. So moving to the branches, from the tip I said earlier, I said the brachial plexus has 5 roots, 5 components, which we are about to use the 5th component here, and then what? 5 main branches, meaning that these 3 cords are to give rise to 5 main branches. Okay, so let's take note of that. We have this lateral cord giving rise to a main branch, which is called the musculocutaneous branch. Musculocutaneous branch. This will be projected on the screen.
Posterior cord giving rise to axillary and radial nerve.
The posterior cord is giving rise to 2 main branches, which is the axillary branch, axillary nerve, and the radial nerve. Now it is important for you to know that the lateral cord over here also has a branch which is known as the lateral root. It's having the lateral root. Then the medial cord here is also having a medial root. These two roots combine together to form the median nerve. The median nerve. What do I call this again? This is the axillary nerve. Axillary nerve. Over here we have what? The radial nerve. Then the other part of this medial cord continues to form the ulnar nerve. So you can see, working with our basic tips, we could draw the basic structure of the brachial plexus, having the 5 roots, the 5 components, which is the roots, trunk, division, cord, and branches. And we said from the last tip, the other 5 represent what? The 5 main branches, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the basic structure of the brachial plexus. Now, you need to understand that after this basic structure, we have about 11 other minor branches around the brachial plexus. So I will list out those branches now. Then altogether, I'll list the function of every branch in this brachial plexus and their function. Okay, so you need to know that at this region here, region of the root here, at C5, we have a minor branch here, which is called the dorsal scapular nerve. There is also a branch running down here between C5, C6, and C7, which is called the long thoracic nerve. The long thoracic nerve. Then at the region of this trunk, the superior trunk, at the superior surface of the superior trunk, we also have a branch here. It is called the suprascapular nerve. At the inferior surface, we have the nerve to subclavius muscle. At the inferior surface of the superior trunk, we have the nerve to subclavius. Don't worry, all of this will be projected on the screen. Then, moving to the cord, at the posterior cord, we also have 3 branches. 1, 2, 3. The first branch here is the lower subscapular nerve. The one at the middle here is the nerve to the latissimus dorsi, otherwise known as the thoracodorsal nerve. And the third one here is the upper subscapularis nerve. Upper subscapular nerve. Now over here also, at the medial cord, we have 3 minor branches as well. 1, 2, 3. The first one is the medial continuous nerve of the forearm. The second one is the medial continuous nerve of the hand. And the last one is the medial pectoral nerve. The medial pectoral nerve. Now finally, you should know that at this place where we have the muscular continuous nerve, there is also a branch here, a minor branch here, which is what? The lateral pectoral nerve. The lateral pectoral nerve. All of these spellings will be reflected on the screen. So with this, we've been able to draw from the basic structure. We'll be able to include all of the minor structures as well. And if you have to count the minor structures, there are 11 in number. knowing these tips will give you a kind of ease while drawing the brachial plexus. Let's count it. We have 1, this is dorsoscapular nerve, long thoracic nerve, that is 2. We have the suprascapular nerve, that is 3. We have the nerve to subclavius, that is 4. And over here we have 3 sets, which is what? The lateral subscapular nerve, the nerve to latissimus dorsi. We have the other one, which is the upper subscapular nerve. Then over here also we have another 3 sets. Then over here we have 1. If I count everything, that makes up 11 minor branches. So next we talk about the function of all of the branches in the brachial plexus. I will start with the minor branches. Talking about the dorsal scapular nerve, which is originating from the roots of C5. Dorsal scapular nerve innervates the rhomboid muscle as well as the levator scapulae muscle. That's the function of this dorsal scapular nerve. On to the next, at the trunk region here, where we have the suprascapular nerve. The suprascapular nerve innervates the supraspinatus and the infraspinatus. Those are the muscles at the posterior surface of the scapula. Then, at the inferior part of this superior trunk, we have the nerve to subclavius muscle. It innervates the subclavius muscle. Then, to this region here, we have the lower subscapulary nerve. We have the upper subscapulary nerve here. This is the upper subscapulary nerve, this is the lower subscapulary nerve. These two nerves function together to innervate the subscapularis muscle. That is the muscle at the anterior surface of the scapula, or you see the costal surface of the scapula. These two nerves function to do that. But take note that this one, the lower subscapular nerve, only this only innervates the teres major muscle. Whereas the two of them ends to end innervate the subscapulary muscle. Okay, so we have this one at the center, which is called the nerve to latissimus dorsi, or we call it thoracodorsal nerve. What it does is that it innervates the latissimus dorsi muscle. Now, moving to the next 3 sets here, I said this first one is what the medial continuous nerve of the forearm. It just gives sensory function to the what? To the forearm. The second one also, continuous nerve supply to the end. It provides sensory function for the hand. Then the last one here, which is what? The medial pectoral nerve. Note that this medial pectoral nerve, together with this lateral pectoral nerve, innervates what? Innervates the pectoralis major and the pectoralis minor altogether. The two muscles here, the medial and lateral pectoral nerve, innervates the pectoralis major and the pectoralis minor muscle. Now let's talk about the innervation of these main branches. First of all, we have the musculocutaneous nerve. What is the function of this musculocutaneous nerve? The musculocutaneous nerve innervates the muscles in the anterior part of the arm. The muscles in the anterior part of the arm is being innervated by this musculocutaneous nerve. Okay, moving to the next, this posterior, which is branching to this axillary nerve and the radial nerve. So the axillary nerve innervates the deltoid muscle. The bulk of muscle at this region. The deltoid muscle is being innervated by the axillary nerve. Also note that this axillary nerve innervates the teres minor. Okay, so moving to the next, we have the radial nerve. The radial nerve innervates the muscles at the posterior arm and the forearm. The muscles at the posterior arm and the forearm. So moving to the next, we have the medial nerve. The medial nerve innervates the muscles, the anterior muscles of the forearm, as well as the intrinsic muscles of the palm. So lastly, talking about the ulnar nerve. The ulnar nerve innervates the muscles, and some of the muscles of the anterior forearm and some of the muscles of the anterior palm. So with this, I've been able to talk about all the branches and the function of each of the branches of the brachial plexus. So lastly, let's talk about some clinical anatomy of this brachial plexus. You should know that the damage to this superior trunk, whenever there's a damage to this superior trunk, could lead to a clinical condition which is known as what? Erb's palsy. The spelling will be reflected on the screen. Erb's palsy or Erb's paralysis is a condition whereby the external rotators are being damaged. So therefore, the hand is just medially rotated. The elbow is in the extended position while the wrist is also flexed. It's otherwise called the waiter's stick. So Whoever is having this S palsy, have the person arm will be in such a way like this. That's the beta tips. Okay, so it's mostly common in children, in kids. So at the point of birth, can recover that some children normally come up with this S palsy. Okay, a damage to the inferior trunk could lead to what is known as the Klump's palsy as well. Klump's palsy. You see the spelling on the screen. Okay. Also note that a damage to this long thoracic nerve could cause strain to the serratus anterior muscle. When there's a damage to this long thoracic nerve, the serratus anterior muscle may be affected, and such a person, the serratus anterior is the muscle that kind of attaches the scapula to the cage, to the rib cage here, to the trunk here, to the rib cage here. So when there's a damage there, it could also lead to a condition which is called the wing scapula. So that is the basic function, and we have some other function of this. A damage to this musculocutaneous nerve, of course, affects the supply to the anterior arm. So with this video, I think I've been able to explain the basic tips of drawing and understanding the functions of each of the branch of the brachial plexus. Thanks for having me.